Hello everyone, today we're going to look at overhead. Overhead is the cost of doing business that does not include the cost of any goods sold if your business is selling goods. So these things can include rent, employees' wages, electricity, insurance, all the other things it takes to run a business, again, besides goods being sold. What we do is we portion out the overhead to various departments to determine the efficiency of them. How you portion them out depends on the business and what makes more sense for your type of business. We're going to focus on 3 ways. The first is by floor space, then by net sales, and then the number of employees. The process will be the same. The only difference is one column in our table. So I'll show you what I mean in an example. The total overhead of a business each month is $120,000. Fill out the overhead table below. So this is the information that you would be given. The different departments, we're going to call them A, B, and C. And in this case, we're going to portion it out based on floor space. So Department A has 3,000, I didn't label it, but it's square feet. So 3,000 square feet. Department B takes up 7,000 square feet. Department C takes up 15,000 square feet. So the next thing we want to do is we want to find the total floor space. So I'm going to add these guys up, and I get 25,000. The next thing I want to do is find the ratio for each department's floor space. So remember, a ratio is comparing two things. Typically we'll see it as a fraction. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have the exact ratio. So I'm going to leave these in fractional form, and I am not going to put it into the calculator and come up with a decimal approximation. Sometimes the decimals will be nice. The ones that we have will be fairly nice in this example, but not always. So you want to make sure you're using the exact fraction. So when we're to find the ratio for Department A, I'm going to take the floor space for A, divide it by the total floor space. Now the nice thing about these numbers is they're all numbers of thousands, so I can cancel the 3 zeros. And the ratio for Department A is just the 3 over 25. The same thing for Department B. I take the 7,000 divided by the 25,000, cancel the 3 zeros, and I have 7 over 25. Lastly, for Department C, I take the 15,000 divided by the 25,000. Not only can I cancel the 3 zeros, but 15 and 25 also have a 5 in common. So when I simplify it, I have 3/5. One way to check to make sure we're doing it correctly is to find the total of the ratios. If I add up all the ratios, I had better get 1. And if I do add them up, I do get 1. So you really want to make sure that you did the ratios correctly, and you want to add them up and make sure that you get exactly 1. Again, we're not doing any rounding, so it should be exactly 1. Okay, the last part is to find out the overhead for each department. So what we do is we take the ratio and multiply it by the total overhead, because we're figuring out what is 3/25 of 120,000. And remember, of means multiplication. So we're taking 3 over 25 times 120,000. If we do that, we get $14,400. Depending on the ratio and the total overhead, we might have change. And just remember that it is dollars, so you're going to have to round to 2 decimal places. These ones aren't going to be too bad in this example, though. So for Department B, we take our 7/25 multiplied by the 120,000. We get 33,600. And then lastly, for Department C, we take their ratio, doesn't want to circle right now. There we go. And then multiply again by the 120,000. We get 72,000. Now again, to check this, we need to make sure that the total is in fact 120,000. So if I add these 3 up, do I get 120,000? Yes, I do. So you always want to make sure that this total here is 1. This total is the total overhead that you were given. Okay, so let's try another one. The total overhead of a business each month is again $120,000. Fill out the overhead table below. So now we are portioning out via net sales. So again, the only difference is the title of this column and then the numbers in it. Everything else is going to be the same. So our first step is to still find the total. So if I add up all the net sales, I get $400,000. To find the ratio, again, I'm going to take the net sale for the department, divide it by the total net sales. I can cancel 4 zeros in both the top and the bottom, and I'm left with 3/40. I do the same thing for Department B, 250,000 divided by 400,000. That will simplify down to 5/8. And then for Department C, we should be getting 3/10. Make sure your ratios are fully simplified and again exact. So I'm keeping the whole entire fraction there. I'm not taking any decimals. To make sure I did this correctly, I will add them up and see that I do in fact get 1. Okay. Then again, the last step is to find the overhead per department. So I'm going to take my ratio, 3/40, multiply it by 120,000. And that gives me 9,000. Then I'm going to take my 5/8, multiply it, by my 120,000. I get 75,000. Lastly, I'll take my 3/10, multiply it by 120,000, and get 36,000. And again, I need to finish off my table by finding the total overhead charge. So if I add these guys up, I better get 120,000. And I do. So again, I know that I did it correctly. And I'm good to go. So let's try another one. The total overhead of a business each month is $100,000. Fill out the overhead table below. So this time I am doing it by employees, and it's a different business. So there are 4 departments, A, B, C, and D. It's a fairly small business, if you can see. So I'm going to have employees. The first thing I need to do is find the total number of employees. So I'm going to add these guys up, and I get 17. 17 is not a very nice denominator, so we're going to see that come up in our overhead charges. We're going to have change, and we're going to need to round a little bit. So again, the next thing I want to do is find the ratios. This one's fairly nice. There's no simplifying needed in any of these. So for Department A, it's 4/17. Department B, 5/17. C is 3/17. And D is 5/17. Again, if I add them up, I do in fact get 1. So now for the overhead charge, I'm going to take 4/17 of $100,000, and I get the very lovely $23,529.41. So again, make sure you put all of it and you round to 2 decimals because that's what makes sense for money. Department B, I'll take my 5/17, multiply it by 100,000. $29,411.76. Department C, $17,647.06. Department D is the same ratio as Department B. So my answer over here, these two are the same. So this should be the same answer, and I don't have to actually do the math out again. I know it's going to be $29,411.76. Now, because we rounded, if I add them up and find the total, it might not be exactly $100,000. So it's okay if you're off by a penny or two. If you're off by 4 pennies or 5 pennies or $1, $5, that's not good. But the basic rule of thumb is you can be off by a penny for every 2 departments you have. So since I have 4 departments, I can be off by as much as 2 pennies, and it's not gonna be wrong. So if I add these up, I see that I'm actually short by a penny. And again, that's just because of rounding. So I have $99,999.99. So I want you to put the actual total that you have here by adding them up, and don't just shove in $100,000. Because A, if I'm adding them up, this is actually what I get. And B, I know that you're actually doing the addition this way. Because if you have your numbers and you put in the $100,000, I know that you didn't actually check it. So I want you to put in what you actually get by adding them up. And again, as long as you're within a penny for every 2 departments you have, you should be fine. Okay, so let's try another one. The total overhead of a business each month is $98,000. Fill out the overhead table below. So now we have 5 departments, A, B, C, D, and E. And again, we're going to go by floor space, which again, for some reason I forgot to write down. It is square feet. Not that it really matters, but it is square feet. So I'm going to add up all of my floor space and get the total. And I should be getting $24,000. And again, for the ratio, I can cancel 3 zeros every time I do the division. So for department A, I have 5 over 24. I can't simplify that. So I'm going to leave it as 5 over 24. For B, I have 2 over 24, which does simplify into 1/12. For department C, 12 over 24. Again, that does simplify to a half. For D, I have 3 over 24. Again, that simplifies, 1/8. And then again, department D is the same as department B. So again, I have 1/12. I'm going to check it. I'm going to add these guys all up, make sure I get 1. I do, so I'm good to go. Next, for the overhead charge, I take the ratio, multiply it by the total overhead. So 5 over 24 times 98,000. Again, it's not going to be exact, so I'm going to round to 2 decimals. I get $20,416.67. For the next one, I get $8,166.67 when I multiply by 1/12 by my 98,000. Again, notice I'm going to have that same number for Department E when I get down to it. Department C, I'm taking half of 98,000. That's 49,000. For D, I'm taking 1/8 of 98,000, and that's 12,250. Again, Department E is the same as Department B, overhead charge-wise. So again, that's $8,166.67. And then lastly, I'm going to add them all up. Again, because I did round, I can be off by as many as 2 or 3 cents for it to still be correct. And I'm only off by 1 penny. So I rounded up. That's really from these 3 that should have been 2/3 exactly. They each rounded up, so I've got an extra penny here. So read through the lesson, try the homework, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.